I've been coming here for more than 20 years, and I say this time around it's more talking about the uncertainties which surround the projections than the projections and numbers themselves. We have all kinds of numbers on the growth or the inflation outlook, but what really people focus these days is the number of uncertainties from Europe, whether there will be a flow of Russian gas, whether the winter will be cold or warmer. I never seen that we mention meteorologists as much as we do this year, and all kinds of uncertainties that might affect the current projections. So many people are actually doing, as we did during the COVID, scenario analysis rather than one only baseline projection.
The Croatian economy has been slowing down. Obviously, given what you've said here, it's difficult to make hard and fast forecasts on numbers, but next year is going to be a weaker growth year than this year.
That's for sure. We had two very good years. We grew more than 10% last year, and we'll be growing somewhere between 5.5–6% this year. But we're seeing already now, with the end of September, beginning of October, slowing down of the economy. And the reason is definitely inflation, which is denting into the real incomes. Inflation in Croatia at the moment being at a bit above 12%. And we first saw consumer confidence index down. Consumption still stayed strong for some time, but now we see that it's slowing down, and we see it happening as we move into the 2023. And then 2023 we'll see again a lot of uncertainties. Our baseline projection is 1% growth, pretty much as the Eurozone in which we are entering next year. But again, we'll see.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because you are in this interesting position as the world is having to focus on these various mini fires, I think, as Mohamed Al-Erian described them. You're going through this transition to become a full Eurozone member, embracing the euro currency and becoming part of the voting council, effectively, at the ECB. How smoothly is this happening, and what inflationary consequences will there be from the transition to the euro?
We are moving, I would say, smoothly into the Eurozone. We have 2.5 more months, which are basically technical preparations, but we've been on that path for the last 3 years or more, certainly since we entered the exchange rate mechanism. And people often forget we are already in the single supervisory mechanism from the October 2020. So it has been a path of a smooth transition. We benefited already significantly on that path in terms of the risk perception, ratings, sovereign spreads. Markets have already priced in now our entry into the Eurozone, and that certainly benefits Croatia. Once we get in, I don't expect that the conversion of kuna to euro will create much of the inflationary pressure. That was the main worry of the population in Croatia, as in many other countries when they were entering the euro. But with the current levels of the inflation, which are caused by very different reasons, this becomes a drop in the sea, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, history would suggest that retailers and merchants do tend to lift prices when they get the opportunity, when there is a shift to a new currency. Are you doing anything to try and control that? Yeah,
the estimates for other countries when they joined the Eurozone was that in that year, inflation rate went up between 0.2 to 0.4% because of the entry into the Eurozone. So there was positive effect, but it was not large. What we're doing is we asked all the merchants to post the prices both in kuna and euros already from September, and they will have to do it for the 12 months of 2023, so that the customers can adjust, can get the sense of the prices both in kuna and in euros. And I think this is the best protection. Also, we ask them to sign into the ethical codex of not using the transition to euro to change the prices, and I think the effect will not be significant in that sense.
Given that Croatian inflation is so much higher than the average across the Eurozone, how much higher do you think interest rates need to go to tame the inflation impetus in Croatia?
I would say that our inflation rate is now somewhere in between the, let's say, Western Eurozone countries and the Central East European countries. And for the interest rate movements, one thing is for sure, interest rates has to increase now, and we have to continue tightening cycle all the way until the inflation rate comes down on sustainably towards the medium-term goal. Where it's going to end, it's very difficult to say, nor I think it's very useful now to predict where that interest rate will be. We just have to move, and as we get new data, decide when that rate will be.
Do you think that the ECB can reduce the balance sheet and hike interest rates at the same time?
Yeah, why not? I mean, the tightening of the balance sheet works more on the long end of the yield curve, while the interest rate moves work more on the short end of the yield curve. There is always a balance between doing the two, which is a fine-line calibration. But yes, normalization of the monetary policy means not only bringing the interest rates to the neutral level, but also shrinking the very large balance sheet that is at the moment present.
And do you have any good sense of when you think the energy-related driver of inflation may begin to ease and become less substantial in the European context?
Well, if you look at the base effects, at the beginning of next year, we'll see a base effect which will certainly work on the inflation rate coming down because of the energy prices started to increase in the first quarter significantly last year. But what happens with the energy prices next year again is not very easy to predict. Depends on many things. Again, whether there will be any flow still of the Russian gas, whether the winter will be cold, whether it will be mild, how quickly the alternative supply of the energies to Europe will kick in. This will all determine the prices of the energy in the future.